Welcome into Brady's Breakdown, the Five Region Sports Network. I'm Brady Hawk, and today we're going to dive into some more film. This time, after the Miami Heat's loss to the Chicago Bulls this time around, there was some defensive lapses, there was some late game offensive issues. So we're going to dive into both those things. So we're going to start out with the defense with this first clip right here. Is the theme of this game is that Chicago has two bigs. They have Vucevic and Tice, which just makes this very interesting for Miami because they have small ball lineups. And as seen right here, as I play this, this is what Chicago did all night. This is what they did early on after they played Miami. One night before that, they knew that they were going to draw Bam out onto the perimeter with the switches and then just dominate inside. So that's what they did right here. Bam's guarding Kobe White. They work it into Vucevic on the wing, get it into Daniel Tice, who's being guarded by Ariza. He turns, gets a foul call. It doesn't lead to a bucket, but leads to a foul call. And this is 8 minutes left in the first quarter, so you're kind of seeing what they did, to begin this game. The next one, now it's another one of these instances. Ariza's guarding the ball handler. Now Daniel Tice is coming up right here. Bam switches on. It almost looks. I pause right here. Max Strus looked like he was going to fight through instead of staying with Daniel Tice, but Bam predetermined the switch. He jumped onto him. Now Max Strus has to recover, and as we speak right here, Lower Markkinen's getting position on Trevor Ariza, who's just trying to battle down low. Which Trevor Ariza had a very good defensive game. Surprisingly, not very surprisingly because he's been a good defender, but for Miami's defensive trouble, you know, he still had a pretty good game. It's just when he gets caught in these switches and he has to guard the post, that's just not his strength. When he's out in the perimeter, that's when he's at his best. But right here, they get it into him. Laurie Markkinen turns, gets a bucket. And that's what happens, when they have their help side, rotations or doesn't consist of Bam Adebayo rotating over because he's stuck on the perimeter at the top of the key. Let's go to the next one. It's another one of these instances. Gabe Vincent, fights through it. Bam stays on Vucevic down low. As we're going to see right here on this, this is another one of the type of switching, moments. He gets Duncan Robinson on him. Now that's going to be a thing. As much as I talk about Duncan Robinson's improvements, minor improvements on the defensive end, this is one thing that they just won't be able to overcome when they can, switch onto a guy like Duncan Robinson because they have so many bigs on the floor. So now he kind of backs him down and gets the ball, tips it up, and right here you see Ariza come help down. The whole team is just trying to help down, which is what you're going to want to do in that situation. That Duncan Robinson is guarding a big. He does force a miss right here as he goes up, but the issue is he tips it back up. They get an offensive rebound, and he goes up right here and gets the N1. That was an issue for Miami. It was known that it was going to be an issue for Miami on this team with two bigs like that. They were not going to win the rebounding battle. They haven't won the rebounding battle many nights. And that was a main issue. As much as we could talk about, it's nothing scheme wise that they had to change. It was just some, the mismatches that the Bulls could control the offense and defense just because they can, basically choose who they want defending them on any given possession. But Miami did not have the worst defensive game of their season. They actually, they forced a lot of turnovers. They were getting, fast break points early on. That was kind of what it looked like. They were heading in the right direction, getting into transition, which is when their offense is at its best. But as we see here, the rebounding really did kill them. And that's going to be an issue, when they're facing big teams like this, which is not going to be a lot of them because this team is just different that they had two, bigs and even three bigs at times when we'll see with Laurie Markkinen checking in, but that's the way it is. Another defensive possession. This was a positive moment. If we're going to talk about, the differences, this is the third quarter now. It looked like there was a bit of an adjustment that, they made, and we're going to see it right here. They set a screen. Bam, instead of switching immediately, kind of drops, and they just look to contain. And as we see right here, it gets a deflection, ends up going out of bounds, even though it was Chicago's ball. You just kind of see the differences of when, there's not a star guard on the other side of things. Like when you're playing Brooklyn, and they're blitzing, it leads to good things. When they're playing Golden State and they're blitzing Steph Curry, it leads to good things. But when you have, the team that's just working in the interior, it may be better just to kind of, contain a bit more and worry about the backside when you're talking about Bam Adebayo. Let's go to the last defensive possession. Now we're in the fourth quarter. Another one of these instances, it's a tight game. They're down two, and they basically get the switch they want. Kobe White gets Bam Adebayo on him. Right here, he's trying to get position. Vucevic's trying to get position on Ariza. He swings it. Let me pause it right here. Another thing to mention, like I mentioned with Lord Markkinen, they right now have Vucevic, Daniel Tice, and Lord Markkinen on the floor together, which means that Gabe Vincent is currently lined up with him, and that's not because of a switch. That's just because Gabe Vincent has to be lined up with him at the moment. Uh, that's just the way it is. That obviously the switches don't help with that in these instances, but when you're playing a team like this, it's just a lot different. So as we see right here, they're waiting. Vucevic gets position, gets up, left-handed layup, and that's just the way it was. They were kind of getting what they wanted just because of the switches. Not that the defensive scheme is an issue. It's just that's the way it was that they were controlling things. While other nights when Miami's using the switching and it's leading good things, they control the tempo. But now let's go to the offensive side of things. The late game execution was not its best. Big game from Jimmy Butler. There were good moments from Bam Adebayo, but other than that, they weren't many stretches of offense from other players. Duncan Robinson, didn't play for long stretches after he threw up before the game. He tried to play, and then he went out with an illness because he just wasn't feeling well. So as we see right here on this play, we get Jimmy Butler right here setting a screen for Goran. It's basically a double on ball screen. But what you want to see right here is the shot clock. We're currently at 18 seconds on the shot clock. As I play it, they're tied game, a little bit more than 5 minutes to go. And here we go. He drives, kicks it out to Trevor Ariza with a very good contest, shoots over the top of Daniel Tice. As I play it, it goes off the rim. But the shooting with 15 seconds on the shot clock with contested threes like that is just not going to win you basketball games, especially, as I talk about the offensive numbers in clutch time, you know, under 5 minutes to go when it's a 5 point lead or you're trailing by five, their numbers have not been very good offensively. 28th in field goal percentage, 29th in 3 point field goal percentage. Those are issues. Those are things that maybe Jimmy Butler can take over. But when you're not getting consistent offense late in games like this, that just becomes problematic, as we move forward. So let's go to the next one. And once again, now they're trailing by two, 4 minutes to go. They work the ball. Let me go back a little bit. They work the ball into Jimmy Butler in the post, a bit of crowded side. Goran's going to come over right here, set the backside screen for Bam to, dive to the rim. It doesn't lead to anything. Now he passes to Gabe Vincent. Now, another instance, let's look at the shot clock. There's 6 seconds left. You know, losing by, trailing by two at this point, going to Gabe Vincent, which is going to lead to a step back three. It's probably not the best bet. Vincent missed the three. He had to shoot it with the late shot clock. But, these empty possessions that you're ending up in these type of shots is the reason why those numbers look the way they do, late in games. Their defense has, for most of the season been pretty good late in games. They're sixth in, defensive rating and clutch time, and they have a winning record, when they're in those type of close games with these type of offensive numbers, which is just says how their defense has been. But when they really do need an increase in offense, it's harder to judge it when you're playing with outside the hero Kendrick Nunn and Andre Iguodala. That Gabe Vincent is on the floor, two-way guy that has he's had opportunities, but this wouldn't really be his role as a player. But that's the way they had to do. They have to plug it in. But in these moments, I just that's kind of where it led to when you're leading to empty possessions like that. So let's go to the next one. This one's going to be, a little bit of a discussion about Goran Dragic here. Goran Dragic, goes to his left. Jimmy Butler sets the screen. Let me pause it right here. After he slips the screen, he gets the ball. It's an empty side. Bam, Jimmy Butler pick and roll that looks like they can lead into, which is the one set that they basically had a lot of success with late in games. So as we see right here, looks like he has a lot of space to go left. He could probably go left, pull up for a mid-range jumper at the free throw line, which it was hitting. He could go left, try to attack the rim, and he could look for the Bam, roll to the basket. But as we see right here, this is what this play ended up with. He flows in, just pulls up for three, and misses it. That's the way it's going to be. When your two stars are not 3 point shooters, you cannot fall into that type of trap. When you have opportunities like that to get to your strengths, you just kind of have to do it. And Jimmy Butler's strength last night was surprisingly, that mid-range jumper he was very comfortable with. So for him not taking that shot was interesting. It's another one of those empty possessions late in the game. Let's go to the next one. Now this is the Goran Dragic discussion right here. He comes off the screen, and another instance, down four, under 2 minutes to go, and Goran Dragic a year ago in the bubble, he's pulling this elbow jumper. Nobody's been able to score late in this game other than Jimmy Butler. This is his time to say, let me take these shots. Let me take shots that I've taken my whole career. But as we see right here, He passes up the shot, just waits, holds the ball, kicks it out to Trevor Ariza, swings to Gabe Vincent, and leads to a Gabe Vincent corner three, which falls off the mark. Which it was a good look, but it's not the look that they wanted in this type of game. That Goran could be initiating that offense when he has those type of dead spots that he's always taken control of. The last one, now we're about a minute to go in this game. Once again, down four. This is Jimmy Butler looking to create some type of offense. He ends up getting stuck, kicks it out. Now we're going to see Bamco set the screen for a tragic drive. And as we see right here, this is the issue with, if we're talking about Duncan Robinson not playing, Duncan Robinson creates type of spacing. Even though it might sound like it's getting overstated, it really isn't. The spacing, the gravity that he holds for this team is like no other. So right now, Jimmy Butler on the side that they're running the pick and roll is in the corner, which allows Tice to basically drop down to the box as I play it right here and eliminate any type of Bam lob. Goran ends up flipping up, a wild shot. It ends up missing. And, that was kind of one of the last chances they had in this game in half court offense. That's type of the thing that if they need to clean up anything, it's going to be half court offense late in games, because playoff games are going to come down to these situations a lot. And that's the only way that they're going to be able to come out, in a positive stage. So thank you for watching Brady's Breakdowns. Leave a comment. Tell me what you want me to discuss next time. See you soon.